Hey everybody! Thanks for joining me today on Fridays with Flora, and today we are going to be working with one of my houseplants. Now, for those of you that have been following me for a while, you know that I'm a big gardener. And I've been working on books and children's books, getting everyone engaged in the garden. And for whatever reason, I guess I have houseplants, but I haven't really dug into the whole houseplant thing until last year. I started getting more houseplants because the winter was really long and I was getting kind of depressed. And then when we lost our cat in December, I felt like I needed to care for. I was like missing my cats. Maybe I needed to care for other things. So I've been getting more and more houseplants and really upping my game with houseplant care. And today we're going to kind of trim up and care for my Dracaena marginata, which is a dragon tree, for those of you that want to know the common name. And it looks like a kind of a very thin stalk with like a palm. It has lots of palm leaves. Mine started very, very small. It was a Mother's Day gift for my kiddo. I want to say like 10 years ago, and it is very, very, I'm going to show you. I thought it would kind of regulate itself, but it's on top of the ceiling and now starting to grow this way because it's realizing it doesn't have room to go straight up. And evidently you can trim up your Dracaena and actually propagate it, get it to root in a new pot. It's very easy to do, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to trim up our tree and we're going to propagate it, and you'll see how to do both. So you can get an extra tree out of it, and it's kind of cool. So from this little guy, it's like this huge big thing. Anyway, so join me today as we learn about Dracaenas and houseplant care. So one of the things I'm going to do first is, so this is the main stalk that I'm going to cut that's like way up to the ceiling. I have another 3 here, and I'm going to keep the 3 for now. If you want just 2, you could probably trim out this little guy here and transplant that one too. I think this plant looks good with 3 stalks. That's just me. Some people just like 2. Now, the first thing you're going to do is the ones that are remaining in the pot. So you see how this is just really full of leaves. This tree actually likes less leaves, more like a truffula tree from like the Lorax. So what you're going to do is you're going to trim off some of these leaves. Now you don't need a pruning shear or anything. Just take the leaf and push down like that, gently. So I am going to take a few inches off so that it's more of a tree, like a palm. The less leaves along here, the better, because then the plant will focus on the roots. It's less stress on this tree. So that's the first thing you want to do with the remaining trunks. And then we'll focus on the one we're going to cut. This guy. Yes, I know, I let it go way too long. I had to actually go to the store and get pruning shears that have a little bit more of a heavy-duty weight to them for sort of like light bushes so that we can get through this very thick stalk. And what you want to do is get close . Okay, so that's definitely, there's still plenty of plant here, but got a nice clean cut there. It'll heal up. And we've taken all those extra leaves off, and I'll continue to prune as these continue to grow. you pretty much want like a third of the top of the plant to be leafy, not the whole stalk like what I had going on before. That way the plant will also focus on strengthening the stalk, strengthening the root system, and creating nice poofy. Like this already has opened up considerably since I pruned off the bottom leaves. So, okay, this is all set. Now let's transplant and propagate that other really long stalk. Okay, so this, I cannot believe that this was just a tiny little baby plant. It's just crazy. So, okay. I'm going to guesstimate a third, and that's where I'm going to put a straight cut to transplant and toss the rest of this. I'm going to try to do this cut straight. Now, what I'm going to do is let it sit for about an hour and let the tissue kind of scar up a little bit, almost as if, like, you know, when you have a bruise or a scratch and a scar kind of forms over to sort of get the healing going. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait about 30 minutes to an hour, and then I'm going to put some root hormone on it. The other thing I'm going to do while I'm waiting for this to heal up is I'm going to take some of these leaves off. So remember how we did that to the other tree stalks? We're going to do the same here. And this is really important for the one that we've cut, because we definitely need this stalk to focus on creating roots, right? So, as I showed you before, pull down gently, down, and I think I'm going to go to about here. So it's about 2/3 stalk, 1/3 leaf, roughly. Okay, so definitely got a 2/3, 1/3 kind of ratio now, which is nice. So let this sit. We'll come back in about an hour. All right, so while I'm waiting for the plant stalk to, ripen up and I can put some rooting hormone on it, I'm getting my pot ready. So I poked out a drainage hole at the bottom here, and what I like to do with my indoor plants is to put some rocks along the bottom. It's up to you. These are rocks that I use in our fish tank. Because this is a big pot, you kind of need to be concerned about weight, especially if it's inside. Maybe you need to move it around. So I'm using the smaller rocks. You can use bigger rocks too, but it just gets kind of heavy. And this just helps with drainage. Then you just want to fill it with potting mix. And I go into this a lot in my classes and in my book, Be Native Flower Pot Power, where I talk about potting mix versus just plain old dirt from the garden. Because plain old dirt from the garden has a lot of minerals that after many years of a plant sitting in that same pot, a lot of the good stuff gets leached out, and what gets left are minerals, and it gets really compacted. What's nice about potting mix is that it has all the things that soil has, but with soil conditioners as well as soil lighteners. So you're going to have stuff in there like vermiculite or perlite, or sometimes you can use sand. That's what these things are. And also soil conditioners like peat, humus, things like that, which is organic material that will make the soil fluffy and has natural organic microbes in it and gives the plant a lot of nourishment. Now you're going to fill the pot up to about here. You want to always keep the top of the soil about an inch below the rim of your pot, because it'll create a reservoir where when you're watering, it's not going to just spill all over, but it'll just kind of settle in like a pond, if you will. So I'm going to fill this up, and I think we'll be ready to put our propagated Dracaena in. Okay, at this point I like to work where the plant's going to go, so I'm actually in my bedroom. And the next thing, I have a little disposable plastic container, and I've got rooting powder. Now, you can get rooting powder, and there's also like a liquid rooting enzyme. But for cutting like this, I like to do the powder. And so that we're not wasting anything, and you keep the rooting powder in the canister pristine, I like putting what I'm going to use in another container. And if you're doing a lot in a week, you can keep this in a container, on the counter, and just use what's in here, and that way you're not, contaminating the main bottle. And just keep using this. If you've got a week of a lot of cuttings. So I just need a little bit because I just have one. And I've got, be sure, especially if this is inside, you've got a draining, I don't know what you call this, but a draining pan, right? You don't want water to go all over. This pot didn't have one. I'm not crazy about this, but at least it was cheap, and it's something for now. I'm going to go to the thrift store and see if I can't find like a square tray or something that would look nicer in here and not so janky. But at any rate, I want to protect my floors. So now I'm going to show you, this has been sitting for about an hour, and you can see like the edge of the cut plant is starting to scar over and dry up on the edges, which is nice. It's starting to heal, and it just prevents disease. So I'm going to cover the bottom and a little bit of the sides with the rooting hormone. I'm going to put it in. Now, if you're worried about it sitting straight, you can always stake it. I think this is going to do just fine. I put it about 6 to 8 inches in. I don't know if you saw that. Pat it around the edge. And now we're going to move it to the window. Now, the Dracaena doesn't need a lot of light. It likes a window without necessarily direct light. The direct light will probably burn some of the leaves. It does like some sun. It's kind of a medium light plant. These leaves are kind of droopy because that happens when it has inconsistent watering, and I know exactly when this happened. This was around COVID when we stayed out in the country for a few weeks, and I was watering this via the wicking system. And I know it was surviving just fine with the wicking system, but you can tell it was not that happy. And that's how you get these like droopy down leaves on a Dracaena. So hopefully as this gets settled in, it'll perk up. So that's it. You know, we'll give you an update on the Instagram feed if you want to see how it's doing. In a couple weeks, you'll know that things are happening because it'll start perking up and it'll start growing. So, oh, and also give it a nice glass of water after you've got it in here. So you can see this really needed to be transplanted. Do you see how this is all like shoved up to one side? You saw that it was right up against the ceiling and starting to grow to the left. So hopefully it's going to straighten out. She's going to know that she's got all this room now and she can start fresh. So pretty easy, right? That was pretty fun. So thanks for joining me today. Please subscribe down below so we can keep up on all the good stuff that's happening here. We are definitely gearing up for gardening, so stay tuned for that. And if you are gearing up for gardening as well, please check out my playlist down below. We got everything from how to care for your peonies, because it's time to get your peonies prepped and ready to go. Pruning roses. This is the time if you're seeing some growth on your roses, you got to prune your roses, get them ready to go. In fact, I got to be doing that this weekend. So yes, stay tuned. We're going to have lots of gardening stuff and lots of cooking stuff, because as soon as those farmers markets start getting some really good things, we're going to be playing in the kitchen, and it's foraging time too. So we're going to be looking for morels and ramps. It's almost ramp season. In fact, I think I saw some of my friends posting, they were finding some ramps already. So anyway, thanks a lot for supporting the channel, and come join us in a couple weeks and see what the fun is. Anyway, stay safe, stay well, everyone. Mwah.